Welcome to the world around us, and I'm your host, Beatriz Caraballo. Today we have an interesting episode. We're going to have a little bit of a demonstration that you need to take very, very careful look at because it's going to teach you how to protect yourself. And we're going to have a young lady that brings amazing products so that you can learn to protect yourself with these products. And her name is Selena Nash. She is an independent consultant and mentor for Damsel in Defense. She started this business after being 13 years set free and totally healed from being a victim of domestic violence. Her personal story of terrifying moments and fear motivate her to educate women to not only defend themselves physically, but to take a stand in their inner being by strengthening their confidence, self-worth, and boldness. She is truly an inspiration. Welcome, Selena Nash.
Thank you.
And with her is our trainer. I am opting out because I am not going to get hurt by a young man over here. So he'll do a demonstration, but you gotta watch. Marcello Hancock served 8 years in the United States Marine Corps. During that time, he was Chief Training Non-Commissioned Officer and primary martial arts instructor. The Marine Corps' martial arts program is an ideal foundation for self-defense due to its practicality, versatility, and ease of execution. We shall see how easy that is. Welcome, guys. I'm so glad that you're here with me.
Glad you have us.
I have been trying to get Selena
Yes.
for a while on another project that I'm working on. And I finally said, you know what? Instead of trying to get that, let's do this.
Yes.
Because this will empower more people. And it will go out internationally because, as you know, CTF TV is in 29 countries and in over 150 channels. So everybody watching is going to learn something today. So tell me about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me first of all. So I love the bio. That is exactly what I stand for. I am also married. I have 3 beautiful children. And I do work full-time, and I do Damsel in Defense part-time.
When I'm looking, it seems like it's always. It's like a full-time thing.
You were absolutely right. It is. It just happens, you know. I'm a man. I've came across powerful people with some powerful stories. So it's something that I enjoy. I don't rather part-time, full-time. It's all the time.
Yeah. And especially when you come across victims or survivors, and you bring them these instruments, these tools, so that they can continue to survive.
Yes.
And they can learn how to stand for themselves.
Yes.
And say no mas, no more.
Yes.
That makes a real impact in people's lives.
Yes.
And so 24 hours, I totally understand.
Yes.
So when did you start?
April of 2017.
Wow,
yes,
congratulations. It's been a while now.
Thank you very much.
And it's been going good, I see.
Yes. Once my mind shifted, that's when it took off.
What made you start this?
Well, I was selling jewelry for a while, and when I saw the products at that particular time, it just spoke to me. And being a survivor and an overcomer of domestic violence, I just looked at it, and the first thing I said was, where were you when I needed you? So with much praying and just meditating on the opportunity, it just happened. And I never look back.
Amen.
Amen.
Now, you used the word overcomer. Caught my attention. Why?
Because now I find within the last year, I'm ready to share my story versus just like, oh yeah, I was in a relationship. He did this, he did that, and you just keep going, and it's just, if somebody brought it up, I can relate. But now it's time for me to tell my story in so many platforms in so many different ways.
Nice. Share your story.
Well, basically, as you said, the relationship's been about 13 years. At that I'm overcomer for 13 years. But at that particular time, this person in my life was just my rescue, and my father was not really. He was mentally abusive, and when I came across this man, he was pretty much my protector against my dad. That's pretty much how it started.
Oh, wow.
Witnessing, him doing some things. I just knew that I didn't want that type of he didn't lay his hands on me. However, verbally it's just as bad, and it could do something to
Yes.
you. So when I came across this man and I was still in high school, it was a few benefits to it, and that was the
It was
number
a silver
one.
lining all
Yes.
of a sudden. Yes.
Yes.
And it starts, and we talked about this before, is that it starts and you don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could be the sweetest,
Mm-hmm.
kindest, and you're thinking, this is my papi chulo. Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. Yep.
And it turns out to be a nightmare.
Yes.
So was that what happened to
That's
you?
what that was. I mean, sexually, it just certain things that was good, and then when the physical started, you find yourself making excuses. Maybe this is a bad day, or maybe I did something wrong. And then another day, and then when the world at times felt like they were against you, or so you thought from your perspective,
Mm-hmm.
then you go back to him who
Mhm.
made you think that this is all your
That's
worth.
the world.
This is what you are
Mhm.
in. This is what it would be. So then, before you know it, time just passes by.
Were you in the relationship for a long time?
Yeah. Let me see. It was a long time.
Wow.
It was a long time.
Wow.
And
Did you
then-
have children?
Yes.
That's
But
even more scary,
Mhm.
isn't it?
But it ended up turning around.
Okay.
We separated for a while. He went his way, I went my way to work on each other.
Mm-hmm.
His foundation was God, and he went back to that. I went back to mine, finding my strength and my weakness, to be able to stand up and deal with it.
And you stayed long. You came back to him and
Yes.
stayed longer.
Yes,
Wow. And did it fix?
it did. Oh my God, I'm married to him now.
Amen.
Amen.
That is super, super
It
cool to
was
hear.
a success story, and
But only God can do those
only
things.
God.
Only God has that power. We
Yes.
don't have that power.
No.
Only God has that power to change anybody.
Yes.
We can break our heads trying to change people. Don't do it. You're wasting your time. Just let him do it. He created them. He'll handle them. You keep about your own business.
Yes.
Yeah, that was perfect. That's great.
man.
And so now you're back together,
Yes.
and things are better.
Very much. We've talked
Have
about
you
it.
ever talked deeply about all the things that went through
Actually, yes. I journaled a lot.
when you were going through it?
Mhm.
Oh wow!
And he came across my journals during the time of trying to make this work, and with a lot of help from supportive people. He came across my journals, and he allowed me to cry it out. He allowed me to say whatever it is I needed to say.
Love it.
We have this one picture of him, me, and my son, and he said I was a monster versus all of our other pictures. It's very powerful.
So he knows. He knows. He felt it.
Yes.
Wow.
And he knows that I talk about it, and
And he's okay.
he's okay.
See, and that's setting you even more free,
Yes.
and that releases him as well,
Mm-hmm.
and he can completely heal.
Yes.
Because every time you tell the story, you're less fearful and less fearful and less fearful. And now you know, this is my companion. This is who I want.
Yes.
Because he's okay with it. And he has shared the story with you and he has talked about it. And you've gone through the healing. And there's a whole process. It's not just taking back the person. It's a thing of finding a way to, both of you have to heal. And he has to heal from whatever his root problem is. You can't fix his problems. You just can't. Because you weren't there when he went through his problems. You have to let God or a therapist or whatever he needs to fix it for him. You just have to support them if that's what you want to do. And so I congratulate both of you for doing that.
Thank you.
That's great,
Thank
especially
you.
when you have a child, because the child will always need his father.
And there was one thing. There was I brought my son to my job one day, and there was a poster on the bathroom door, and it said, "This is the only time she smelled her flowers." And so he has witnessed a lot at that particular time, and he came out and he acknowledged that poster. And I think that was the life changer for me, because
Your son seeing that.
in
Wow.
a casket.
I will share that I went through domestic violence, and it is a very scary, scary thing to go through. And when you come out publicly, sometimes you don't get the support you think you're going to get. Did you get that support?
Not really, especially when they didn't understand or they saw I'm still there. I really wasn't expecting anybody to understand the process, because even during that I was making excuses. But that break, it was about almost 2 years
Wow.
break, and not living together, me going back home, him being in his lowest point, really caused a humbling experience for both of us to really look back and see, okay, we need to make this work.
Right.
I do have to say, Beatrice, I acknowledge the fact that this is not everybody's success story,
No.
and
And you shouldn't go back if you don't feel
yes,
that that's the right
Yes.
person.
definitely.
Because in going back, you might think he changed, and then it's even worse.
Yes.
Then it really becomes an evil monster out of control.
Yes.
Because then it's like, oh, she came back to me.
Yep.
I got some points over her. I'm going to continue to control her.
And this is even more important why God needs to be
Yes.
focused, because He can only guide you to
Only.
this. It's
Only.
not.
Making a decision by yourself of that magnitude, especially when you have a child, yeah, no, you got to let God lead you on that.
Mhm.
Because you taking a decision might cost you your life and the life of your child.
Yes.
So listen, been there, done that, and I suggest that you don't stay in a relationship like that if you don't have to. You need to go get counseling. You need to go get help. You have another male role model in the family that you can go and talk to, and he can be your support. Listen, then you need to go, because your child and your life is more important than staying in that relationship that's going nowhere, and you're getting more and more hurt physically, mentally, emotionally, because words, you carry that forever.
Yes, you do.
That starts. My mom used to say, the raindrop against the rock, and eventually it breaks. It does something to you. You constantly for years hearing that, and you don't hear anything else but that. That starts to break you inside.
Yes.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't actually aware of that going on. And consequently, her husband is my cousin.
Wow.
We're cousins through
Mhm.
marriage, So it's interesting, especially when you said, if you have a male figure in the family that you could, kind of confide in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe that's a large challenge that women in abusive relationships have as well.
Mhm.
Trying to find that outlet.
Mm-hmm.
And typically family members kind of rally around one another.
Mm-hmm.
And if my experience of my family member, may not necessarily be the things that I'm being presented with, it's hard for me to reconcile
Right.
those two perspectives,
Mm-hmm. Because you see one thing,
Exactly.
but she's actually experiencing
Exactly.
it. And you're like, that's not what I see.
Mhm.
That's not the guy I know.
But I think a huge portion of why, especially in Black and Latino families, why the predominance of these types of relationships are so high is that secretiveness that we
Yes.
have within our
Mm.
culture as a
Yes.
whole.
Oh my God.
What
yes.
happens in our house stays in our house. And
No vayas para afuera a hablar. Cállate la boca. Yes. I heard it all my life. Man,
and
yes.
even when it comes to psychological abuse, whether it's emotional, sexual abuse and
yes.
trauma, we've had that history for generations.
Exactly.
That what happens here stays here. You don't it doesn't go outside of our house.
No.
So even to the extent of, maybe Selena would have came to me and said, "Hey, Marcello, this is what we're dealing with." If I wasn't mature enough at that time to maybe see outside of that family dynamic or see the bigger picture and maybe have that heart to listen and be in tune with what's going on and have those conversations, I may not have been a good sounding board either.
Absolutely.
And as much as I may think that I'm attentive and that I'm a good listener, if I don't have the skills, if I don't have that foundation to say, well, I don't know everything, I don't know who this person is behind closed doors, then I may not have been an advocate at all either.
Exactly. Exactly. But women, and when you're in that kind of relationship, any kind of abuse, you don't tend to trust that counterpart. So even if you go to your cousin, to your brother, to your uncle, you're like, I don't know, they might take his side. So do I really want to go there?
That's true.
Because, I went through that. I went through do I really want to go through my siblings and tell? There's this underlying male thing going on. I don't know. Are they broskies so bad that they're going to take his side, not mine? But I'm the baby sister. And you don't know. And so you stay even more quiet. And that just makes the problem even bigger and worse. Because now you're carrying the load all by yourself. When you have, in my family, there's 15 of us. There's only 2 girls. I could have gone to any of them. But my fear didn't allow me. And so I carried that through the years. And then how do you get out of that? How did you get out? What was the first step you took?
Well, I was working in a group home, and there was a particular lady that I would just talk to. She was very resourceful, very empowering in her presence. She just had such an authority presence, and I opened up to her, and she just kept speaking life into me. And I mean, she also offered ways out, maybe hiding or something. I was too scared to do that because of potential threats at that particular time. Not only that, he was a wonderful father. It was the father. He was
the father part was
yes.
on point.
It was
just being the husband.
Yeah. So I was just I just can't do that. But
that keeps you there.
Yeah.
That point
and I would
keeps
just
you
straight
there.
out come out and say it. I just can't do it.
Wow.
But one thing I constantly showed up for things he never held me back from not going. I mean, the most that I did, I was not able to do eye contact with people.
Okay.
If we were out and about, I could not look at them in the face. I would look down on the floor. And then if something happened, I would hear it later. But I still remained working. I was very active and involved in high school, so there was things that happened after high school I was still involved in. So those little show-ups, those little things built me to be able to have a desire for more in life, have a higher expectation. I still was going to church, so I still was putting my feet and my hands to work. So it just one day, I just woke up and was like, enough is enough.
Were you scared of taking that step?
Very much so. Very much so. I was scared of even my dad, even though he was who he was, he still was overprotective. I was scared of what he was going to do. My parents did not know anything. I didn't.
Absolutely nobody knew.
No, nobody knew.
Wow.
Nobody knew.
We hide it. We hide it.
Yes.
We hide everything, the physical, the verbal, everything behind it. I hide it behind the big hair, the big nails, and smile.
Yes.
Nobody knew.
Yes. I had one friend that I talked to, but I think my approach was more so, how you behave to get a certain behavior to get attention. So it was more joking, but I'm actually telling you what's happening. But how could you take me serious? So she ended up stopping being my friend because she was scared of her own life. And so I, was just like, okay, well, if she leaves me, then what's the point of even talking about it to anybody else?
When you're doing these trainings, do you come across women that go to the training because of abuse, or are they there because they want to just learn something new?
I think there's a mixed crowd, honestly.
Okay.
I would say, just from talking to some of the ladies at the last events, some women go to these training seminars not for themselves, not for a like-aged woman, but maybe for their children. The sense that, I'm going grocery shopping and I have my daughter with me and I hear about children being snatched or whatever. What do I do in that situation? One lady approached me. We went to the event at the church, and she's a coordinator for human trafficking training on McGuire Air Force Base, or Lakehurst McGuire, where it is now. And she was talking about events that she had in her life and how the particular scenario that we played out, it resonated with her because she was in the exact same situation.
Oh, wow.
And so I think the most important aspect of this isn't necessarily the techniques. It's not necessarily the understanding that this may happen to someone that you know. It's the realization that it is a reality, that you need to prepare yourself mentally for the event that if someone does accost you or come across your path that wants to do you harm, are you going to be in a position to be mentally and physically prepared to defend yourself?
And that's a good one, mentally, because you being attacked, you're not prepared for that mentally.
Not at all.
At all.
Nope.
You're just going about your business, and all of a sudden, poof, something happens. You're like, whoa. And how do you recover from that, So you go through those.
And, what we've come to realize through these events is that that component, the mental aspect, is the key factor for self-defense. It's not the techniques. It's not...
I have to interrupt you. Let me tell you about this guy. First of all, the last few events that we've had, women come in expecting, okay, I'm going to learn some moves. But when he starts it out and he walks you through the mental, oh my gosh, it's powerful. And it just has them like, I never thought about that. I never thought about that. They're so empowered by the time he walks you through the mentally, how you have to be mental. They're ready. And I find that they could receive the instructions better. They're more excited. They're more aware. And it's serious. They can take it with them to practice what they learn. Can you imagine just walking into like, okay, what do you do next? What do you do next? And then it just leaves you right when you leave.
Wow. So tell me, what is that practice mental that you give them?
So the first thing that I do, honestly, is I try to be as friendly and off-putting as possible. You can't really learn from somebody that you can't relate to. So just building that human connection first is the big thing. And I understand that I'm dealing with class members that may have issues with men as a whole. So me being a male instructor coming to show you how to defend against a male, you may not even want me even anywhere near you.
That's true.
So,
didn't even think about that.
establishing that connection first, developing that bond is key to their own success. And they may not realize it, but just by breaking that initial barrier, they're already on the road to success. They're already empowering themselves to maybe get out of a box that they didn't know they were even in.
Because you don't realize that.
No, not at all.
You've gone through all this abuse, all this craziness in your life, and you're not really noticing that you can now have this created problem with male.
Yes.
You don't want them around, you don't want them talking to you, they talking and you're like...
And I feel as though, God's definitely blessed me with certain talents, one of which is, reading people, just that innate connection. And so I'm pretty decent with body language. And typically while we're having these classes, I'll pick out certain participants that I see certain reactions from. So if I realize that,
Oh no!
like
Hey, he's talking about me putting him on the hot seat. Please.
It's not always the person that is the willing participant that you're going to get the most impact out of. It's the person that doesn't want to be there, that someone dragged there in the first place, because that's going to be the most powerful testimony, the most powerful witness. Because if you two happen to walk into an event together and you had to pull Selena's teeth to get her there in the first place, and by the time this event is over, she's feeling empowered, she's feeling strong, she's feeling capable, she's excited. it may not have even been for Selena.
Yeah.
It may have been for you and she wasn't aware of it. But for you seeing how she responded to it, how she reacted to it, that's going to make you even that much more empowered. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And just that.
And it changes your mindset.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It changes your mindset, because if you see your best friend doing well from a seminar, or workshop, or training that we just went through, and she did not want to be there, but now she's like, B, thank you for taking me there.
Yes.
You're like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe there's something in this. I think I'm going to go check it out again. And then that second time you go, you're really paying attention. And sometimes people go and they're, I don't want to really hear. But they really are paying attention to what you're saying. Yeah, this is boring. And they're taking on, saying, I don't want to hear him. So you never know who's in that audience. So you do that connection.
I try my best. But one of the big things that we stress at the end is having a partner. It's extremely difficult to prepare yourself for a type of interaction that we're discussing without having someone that understands what you're dealing with as well. Counseling, call them accountability partners. Someone that you can relay when you're having difficulties, when you're going through a hard time. These are the people that are going to be in your corner when you're down and out. So it's not just about you going to a seminar at one point and learning a couple of techniques.
Right.
It's about taking that information home and applying it to your individual situation. Having someone that you can remediate these techniques with over and over and over again. That's the key factor for that mental component. In the Marine Corps, we call it muscle memory. So you practice and you train a particular technique in a certain way over and over and over again until you build that repetition. So once you're presented with a scenario that relates to what you've been practicing, you don't think about it. You respond according to how you've trained. Most people, you run into that fight or flight type of reaction in a situation, and that's due to you not having enough information or techniques to counteract what's happening to you. So you practice rigorously over and over and over again, so that once someone jumps out at you, you're not trying to figure out what to do. You respond immediately with the correct technique. So the remediation portion after the event is the most key factor. I can teach you something all day, but unless you practice it on your own and you apply it properly, it's worthless.
If you don't take it home and do it, and you can learn French in school, but if you don't go home and practice the French, you're going to forget how to parler. You're going to go home and go, what you say to me? Did you talk about my mama? Because you're not going to understand.
Absolutely.
So you have to constantly practice in whatever you're learning.
Absolutely.
In anything, you have to practice. So you're going to teach us a little bit today?
Sure. I'm ready whenever you are.
Absolutely. So shall we take a break, and then we shall come back with a little bit of a demonstration. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the world around us. We are going to have a real brief presentation, demonstration with Marcelo Hancock, United States Marine Corps, and Juan. I knew I was going to change his name, but I like Juan. So go ahead. Thank you
very much. Good morning, everyone. Once again, my name is Marcelo Hancock. I'm here with one of my practitioners, Juan. He's been kind enough to help me out today, considering the fact of the coronavirus incident. My other training partner wasn't able to make it today, so he's been kind enough to just step up. So thank you very much for that. Just briefly, like we discussed before the break, the most important factor with any self-defense program is going to be the mental aspect of it. So I'm going to walk you through a couple basic steps to prepare yourself for an engagement. The suit is basically to demonstrate the fact that you should be capable of defending yourself in any instance, any crime, any situation, or any event. The techniques that we're going over today are very basic. Anyone can perform them. You don't need to be wearing fitness clothing in order to properly defend yourself. You just need to have the proper mental state and physical readiness. Prepare yourself to defend yourself. So the first thing that we're going to do is help Mr. Juan get ready for physical interaction. So all we're going to do is say, "Give me a wall!" Now, if you notice, his initial response is to step back from me because he's unprepared to have that type of physical interaction. Most people walk through life very, very quiet, very, very subtle. Most people aren't prepared for someone to elevate the situation rather quickly, which is what most criminals try to do. Them having the drop on you per se is designed to put you off balance. It's to put you on your heels, to put you in a position of mental inferiority or physical inferiority. That fear they try to drive into you is the defining factor in who wins that engagement. So the first thing you have to be prepared to understand is that not everyone is nice. That when you walk through life, there are people that are out there that just aren't good people. They're willing to take whatever you have, whatever you worked hard for, you have it and they want it. So the first thing that I do with my class is just to develop that factor that it's okay to be loud. It's okay to take up space. It's okay to own the ground that you stand on. It's okay to have barriers. It's okay to walk through life and say, well, I don't want you this close to me. And because I don't want you that close to me, you're not going to pass. And that's it. Once you take that approach in life, then things become a lot more simpler. And this isn't about, being a boorish individual or, being someone that's unpleasant to be around. But it's necessary to understand that in today's present climate, there are people that just want to be mean to you. And it's important for you to have those boundaries and to have the confidence in yourself to just say no. All right? So how'd you feel when I just kind of turned it up on you that way?
Oh, you started me. Yeah, you got me. Yeah.
Well, that's good because it's the awareness that maybe you're not as prepared for that instance as maybe you thought.
Right.
You're literally standing up here next to me expecting me to flip you or do something crazy. And the minute I yell, it shocks you. All right. If briefly, when do you think is the last time that you've had that type of reaction to somebody?
Not often.
Not often
I
at all.
can't even remember it, honestly.
And that's the majority of people. Most people have never been in a fist fight. Most people have never been in a drag out shouting match with somebody. Most people feel that the regular decorum of society means that I need to be prim, proper, quiet. And this is what leads to a lot of women being abused as well. Because how dare I yell back when I'm being yelled at? How dare I stand up for myself when I'm being abused? Because it's drilled into our mind that's not what a decent person of society does. But there's nothing decent about being abused, period. What is decent is knowing how to defend yourself, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to work on your mental defense for that type of interaction, all right? So basically all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple steps back. I'm going to approach you, and I'm going to yell at you the same way I just did. But as soon as I do that, I want you to take a step forward and say no. Point at me directly with your hand and yell no right back in my face, all right? We're going to do that. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Give me a water!
No.
Okay. So, if you noticed, all right, the directions were to take a step back into my space, to put his hand up in my face, and yell it back to me just as forceful. All right, would you say that you met that criteria in that moment?
No.
No.
I didn't take a step.
Okay. So, the space that you occupy is just as important as the volume that you deliver that statement, all right? I'm not expecting you to come back to me with the same opposing force that I'm giving you, all right? I expect you to shy away from me and just accept me taking that space from you.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you change that narrative is the minute now you set me back because you upset the plan that I have in my mind. Me coming and attacking you, I have a certain game plan. I think things are going to happen a certain way. The minute you throw a wrench into that plan, now I'm the one trying to think about, okay, well, this guy isn't necessarily the person I thought he was, or this lady isn't necessarily a soft target. Maybe she knows something I'm not unaware of, all right? So we're going to try it one more time, all right? So I want you to think about the actions that you're going to do, okay? Strong step forward, own that ground you're on, all right? You're going to put that hand up as soon as you take that step, look me square in my face, and you're going to yell it. No! Firm, fierce. Got it? Give me a wall! No! Much better?
Mm-hmm.
Much better? All right. But now, just as important as your physical presence, the way you sound is just as important, all right? When it comes to your speech, the rise, the intonation, and the pitch are just as important. Your words and your words should be a command. The way you say no, it should sound like a whip. It shouldn't say no, because now you give me room to believe it's a question. All right? Are you really saying no? But if you say no, the rise, the pitch, the whip, it tells me what is expected. I'm not allowed to do whatever it was I just told you, because the way you presented yourself, firm, fierce, direct, it let me know exactly where I stood at that moment. And if you don't deliver it in that manner, then I'm still going to walk all over you, because she didn't really mean it, or he didn't really mean it, or he's not as strong as he thinks he is. It allows me to still feel that confidence in that moment. So I need you to try to think about the way your no comes out. It needs to rise kind of like a roller coaster, and at the top, you cut it off. No! Got me? One more time. You ready?
Yep.
You sure?
Yeah.
We're going to find out. Got it? Give me a wall! No! Much better.
Yeah.
Now, this is someone that I would have to reconsider how I'm going to approach in my next step. All right? A key factor of what you just did, stepping up and taking that space, you're not just putting up a physical barrier to me taking your space. You're actually setting yourself up for follow-on techniques. All right? It's at your discretion to determine whether or not you feel threatened enough in that moment to take it to the next level. All right? You never want to lose the momentum in any fight. Once you gain the momentum, you press the advantage. So by him already taking that step forward, him kind of putting me off balance on my heels, upsetting my game plan, he's already improved his position to take advantage of that. All right? Because now I'm trying to rethink about what I'm going to do in that next moment. So something simple that you could do right in that moment. All right, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Right-handed. Okay. So which foot do you step forward with?
Left.
Your left foot. Okay. All right. That's fine. When was the last time you threw a punch?
Like on purpose, like to hurt
Like
somebody?
yeah, purposeful punch.
Long time.
Okay. Show me. Show me. Go. Strike. 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 Perfect. All right. That's actually a really, really good striking stance. All right. So the way you punch, see your hand. When you strike, your striking surface are the first two knuckles of your dominant hand. These are the only two bones that are supported by the wrist structure. So your fist should be straight, parallel to the ground, knuckles in line with the wrist. That gives you bone support. So all the power you generate goes straight through your arm, along that straightened wrist, and out those knuckles. All right. The striking surface he's going to target is going to be the left side of my face. All right. So if I say strike, he's going to strike right there. All right. So when we walk up and I'm yelling at him, he takes that nice step forward and says no. As opposed to saying no, he's going to do what? Strike. All right? Because I'm already off balance, because he already has the advantage, he's going to press the advantage. So when I walk up and say, give me your wallet, he's going to say
No. Or punch.
just like that. But you're going to say no at the same time. Forceful and direct. And you're going to direct all that force right across my face. You got me? All right, we're going to do it one more time. Give me your wallet! No! When you say no, you strike. All right? Don't worry about my face. I'm going to have my face out the way. You do what you got to do. All right? Step forward into my space. Strike. All right? Give me your wallet! No! You see that? This is dramatically different from when I first yelled at him. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about learning these fancy techniques. It's about knowing how to react in that moment and taking the advantage. Now, if I'm the average attacker, I don't care if grandma's 98 years old and I want her back. If she hits me across my face, I'm going to refake what I'm going to do in that moment because I'm not expecting her to react in that way. So now it upsets my entire game plan. All right. What I try to express to people is that I'm not teaching you how to get into a grappling match on the ground. I'm not teaching you how to disable an opponent maybe as effective as how I may do it, but I'm giving you ground opportunity to distance yourself from that altercation, to seek help, to make sure that you're yelling loud enough for the people around you to hear what's going on as well. Because oftentimes when you're taken advantage of, it's silent. Someone can walk up behind you and say, don't move. And because you comply with that, you've already lost the advantage. It's in that moment when you feel threatened, how you respond is how the situation is going to pan out. All right. So now we're gonna add on to that. So we're gonna use the same exact technique that you just had, except we're gonna change your strike. Okay. Let me see your hand if you don't mind. Thank you very much. All right. So I'm gonna show you right now. It's called a palm heel strike. All right. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna curl your knuckles under, just like that, and you put your thumb along the side of your hand. Your striking surface for this is gonna be the palm right here, right at the base of his hand. You're gonna be 90 degrees up from your wrist, making a nice 90 degree, and your wrist is going to be nice and straight. Once again, directing that power all the way up your hand. The striking surface for this is going to be this triangular portion of the face. All right, and the thank you, put your arm down. In the combatives world, or in the R1 discipline, we talk about this being the triangle of death. All right, that's because a lot of your nerves they coalesce within the rear of the nose, as well as the fact that this being soft tissue. The bones directly behind the nostrils are actually some of the weakest bones in the human body. So if you direct enough force directly at that area, you can do one of two things. You're either going to stun the opponent quickly because it'll cause a watering of the eyes, so they'll be temporarily incapacitated, or if you strike hard enough, you break those bones off and you send the shards to their brain, immediately incapacitating or killing. So the technique that we're doing right now is something that I would suggest that you really, really think about. If you're in a situation where you're being attacked, you're on the ground, somebody is about to do you physical harm, and you feel as though maybe you can't get away, I would suggest you striking in this manner as hard as you can, directly to the nose. And worst case scenario, they leave you alone, either temporarily or permanently. All right. So show me how you do that palm heel strike. Put it up, and you're gonna strike right here. So all the way through. Go ahead, strike it. There you go. One more time. One more time.
Sorry.
Hit it. Now you go. Go ahead, hit it. Hit it. Now give me a real one. Go. There you go. Give me a good one. One more. All right. And where's your striking surface at? Where's it gonna be? On
the nose.
Right there. All right. So we're gonna be right here, right?
Gotcha.
Go for it. There you go. One more time. There you go. One more time. All right. One thing that he's doing really well, which I didn't point out, when you strike, the energy that you generate, it comes through your hips. It's not about your upper body. It's about rotational force generated by your hips. So every time he's striking, he's actually rotating his hips. It's not as exaggerated as mine because I flare my rear heel when I strike because it rotates my hip better and makes more rotational force. The mental picture you want to have whenever you're striking is that your body generates force. Your body generates force based on the distance to your target. So your body inherently knows how much force to create to get you to your destination. It's like pitching a baseball. You don't necessarily have to know how far that catcher is. You need to visually see it, and your body will generate the force to get it there. Same thing applies for strikes. Now, if I'm only desiring to strike his nose, then my body will generate enough force to strike his nose. If my desire is to put my fist, excuse the vulgarity, through his face, then I should picture myself striking about 6 inches behind his head. Whenever I deliver a strike, my mental picture is me striking through my target. All right, and especially when you're dealing with women, because of the inherent nature of physiology, women typically strike with less force than a male. A woman's strike may not deliver as much of an incapacitating strike on a man as it would, say, on another woman. So it's important for female practitioners to really get that mental picture that whenever you're being attacked, I'm not trying to hit this person. I'm trying to strike through that person with as much force as possible. All right? So when you strike, think about striking straight through that target surface because you're going to generate much more power. Okay? So same thing. I'm going to walk up. I'm going to say, give me your wallet. As opposed to you doing that closed hand strike, you're going to give me that that palm heel strike right to the target surface. Okay? Forceful, direct. All right? Give me your wallet. No! Perfect. And in that situation, I would have hit the ground. I would have either passed out, I would have bled out, and it would have gave him as much opportunity as possible to either step away from the engagement or to go seek help. All right. Another common technique that people try to apply in these street fights is they'll open up with that wild haymaker strike. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to defend against a strike to your upper body. All right. So basically, I'm going to come up and I'm going to attempt to strike at you. Okay. The principle for this is entry, off balance, and execution. All right. Every technique has a particular flow to it. All right. So for a defense technique, it's entry, off balance, execution. So I'm going to step into the path of the strike. All right. I'm going to receive the block, and then I'm going to execute my strike. Okay. So what that will look like would be this. So if you put your arm up for me, like pretend you're going to strike. All right. So once you know that strike is coming, you step deep into your target. This is the safest place for you at this point because his striking surface is already past me. This can't do anything. My arm is up. I'm going to turn this way real quick. Thank you. My arm is up to receive that block, that strike. So all his energy generated automatically goes past my body. Once I'm here, I'm in the perfect prime position to strike. So I can either strike with the fist or we can use that palm heel strike like we demonstrated. He's going straight to the ground. All right. Now, the important part is that you're in a proper fighting stance, arms up. So if he attempts to punch me, punch, and I step in, I'm already where I need to be. I've never moved my arm. All I did was step forward, and then you strike, and he goes down. We'll do it one more time, nice and slow, so they can see. Punch me, step in, strike. One more time, punch, step in, strike. And that can be fist, palm, elbows, whatever the case may be, a headbutt. You're already at an advantageous position to deliver a strike. Now, in the event that we have that same interaction, you're going to do that to me, okay? And we're going to do it nice and slow. I'm going to say, give me your wallet, except I'm going to try and punch.
No.
And you're going to step into me. There you go. And you're going to punch. Perfect. All right, one more time, nice and slow. Give me your wallet. No. One more time. Give me your wallet. No. Now, target it right here, all right? Give me your wallet. No. There you go. All right, one time, full speed, all right? I'm going to move my head to the side. You straight forward. Ready? Give me your wallet. No. Just like that. Thank you for your time. Any questions, you can contact me at marcellohancock@gmail.com. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Welcome back to the world around us. That was a great demonstration. Loved it. And I loved how you detailed everything so that people can actually know what they have to do when they're out in the street, when they're by themselves, or even in a group setting. They have to be mentally prepared.
Yes,
That's the number one. And I liked that you stressed on that because we are not mentally prepared. And the one thing that shocked me, that I looked at her and I said, he's going to make me cry, was that you said some women are so quiet. See, people see me and they think, oh, she's just so happy all the time, so loud. No. No. Beatrice is usually very quiet. You know, the mouse in the house. And so I don't project that way. Unless I'm doing the TV, then I have to. Or if I'm doing radio, or if I'm, at an event, then of course that's part of my job. I have to do that. But other than that, I'm peaceful, quiet. I'm more
Subdued.
centered.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because a lady was supposed to be seen, not heard. A lady was supposed to be dainty, sit there with a dress. Don't ever wear jeans. Don't ever wear pants. Make sure your hair is done. Make sure your nails are done. When you sit, you have to sit a certain way. And that's how I was educated, trained, whatever you want to call it. That's how I was raised. And so I've gone through things in my life because of that. I'm not saying that mommy and daddy did the wrong thing. Don't get me twisted, because I adore my parents. But that submissive teaching is what we need to stop doing. We need to stop doing. So I really appreciate when you said that. Although I was over here like, he's going to mess up my makeup. Oh my goodness. I really appreciate that you said that, because in the Latino community, we're very submissive, and we're supposed to act a certain way, do things a certain way, talk a certain way. We're not taught, hey, own your space.
Absolutely.
We're not taught, hey, if someone is coming to attack you, scream. Screams. Yell. Don't stay quiet.
Absolutely.
So I love that you did that.
Thank you.
I love that you did that. And to all the women that were looking, if there's a lot of Latinos, which I know that Latinos are going to be watching this show a lot, I want you to really listen to what he said. No tenemos que ser sumisa. Tenemos que tener el poder en nuestras manos. Tenemos que pararnos fuerte en el paso que tenemos que dar. Cada momento, cada instante. No te dejes ir y dar y empujar y maltratar. Coge tu paso firme y no te dejes dar. Okay? So thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Did you get into this training, or was it part because of you being in the Marines?
That's a bigger kind of ball of yarn than maybe you're aware of. So for me, I come from a large family, predominantly women, very, very strong women, and raised in the church, raised to know God. I'm a professed Christian. I try my best to lead by example. I read my Bible very, very regularly. I try to live those principles. However, when I joined the Marine Corps, that wasn't necessarily the case. I was living in Okinawa, Japan for quite a few years. And the Marine Corps motto, honor, courage, commitment, it looks really great on paper. But in actuality, we're a lot of womanizing, alcohol abusing, male chauvinists. Everything that we do is ego-centered. Everything is conquest. Everything is about, being the top dog. Our nickname is Double Dog.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that aggression. Even for promotion, you're not necessarily required, but you're encouraged to outshine and outperform your fellow brothers in arms, So just being the more dominant male in the barracks, it puts you at a better position for promotion. Being the loud, boisterous, Marine helps put you in a better position for promotion. So even when it comes to, sexual conquest and all that, it's all a part of that pervasive culture, So I actually got into a little bit of trouble, like 2009. And, I remember, it's kind of a long story. So if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, I said I was overseas for a while. We had, deployment stuff going on. And I remember my mom, she would call me regularly. I had the little well, it wasn't Skype at the time, but she would call me on it and, you know, ask me, "Hey, Marcello, are you reading your Bible?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm reading it," and it's sitting up collecting dust, you know.
Oh.
Started abusing alcohol real bad, you know, partying a lot. But for me, I used to always be the protector, you know. In school with my friends, I detest bullies of all kinds. Most of my fights I've ever gotten into have been protecting other people. So for me, it was like a natural progression to, you know, post 9/11, join the Marine Corps, go fight for my country, you know,
Wow.
protect people back home from, you know, insurgents and all that. Even in my unit, I was the guy that would, you know, take the blame for stuff because I was their superior. You know, so if one of my guys messed up, you know, I know for a sergeant that was me. You know, I should have been on the watch. I should have took care of this. You know, that ownership. And somewhere along the line, I kind of lost my personal identity and that more pervasive culture. You know, and
Because
so
you were so entrenched in it.
well, it's I would liken it to the fact that say you have a sanitation worker that collects the garbage from front of your house, right? That job does not define that individual.
Right.
At any point, he or she can take their uniform off and go find another job and do something different. Their role doesn't necessarily relate to their character or their worth. As a Marine, that becomes a part of your identity. Once you receive that Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, you identify as a part of a larger group. Everything that you do, from how you're trained, you're broken down, you're rebuilt, the way you walk, the way you talk, you interact, the assertiveness that you have, it all becomes a part of your character.
Your whole thinking.
Everything. So if you told me, 2009, Marcello, you're not a Marine anymore, take the uniform off, you can't do it, I would be lost. Because in that moment, you're telling me it's like saying, you can't be black, stop being black. Yeah. How do I do that? So it's a lot more psychologically and spiritually invasive than most people would really understand unless you go through it, which would be similar to someone that has been in an abusive relationship. I can't use my rationale and say, well, why didn't she? Why couldn't she? Why this? Why that? Because I'm not that person. I'm not in that environment.
Right.
Whatever your lifestyle led you to, your experiences, the sum total of your experiences, that's your rationale. That's how you view the world around you.
Exactly.
So I can't take my experiences and transpose it on someone else and say, well, you didn't do this right or you messed up, because your identity helps determine how you act in situations. And so, long story short, I ended up myself and two of my friends, we were accused of raping a young lady. Doing the investigation, it come to find out that wasn't the case. But the issue was she was a married woman. In the Marine Corps, adultery is against the UCMJ. Certain crimes in the military aren't crimes at all in regular civilian life.
Right.
So the young lady, she was married. She had approached myself and two senior Marines about having this, engagement at this event that we were all going to at this beach called Akuma Campgrounds, as in northern part of Japan. Long story short, we did what we did. Her friend found out about it, and her friend ended up telling her husband. So maybe she wasn't necessarily a friend at all. So the husband found out, an investigation started. We all got separated, sent to different, camps. And the way news works is that you hear the bad stuff first.
Always.
You don't hear all the details after the fact. So here I am, walking around on base, and I'm, the illustrious Corporal Hancock with all these meritorious promotions and, awards and blah, 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 blah. But that's that guy that raped that girl up at, you know what I mean?
Wow.
That's the identity that you have. And so I went to the brig for a little bit of time during the investigation, because of my my military. Well, I'm sorry. I was a martial arts instructor at the time. So because of how they rated me as far as my physical prowess and skills, I was put in isolation. So I wasn't allowed physical contact with anybody else unless with two guards. And I had my hands cuffed to my waist. I had a waist belt and I had shackles. And I was on lockdown for 22 and a half hours out of every day. This lasted for about 9 months. I had a cell that was smaller than this area. I had a small window to look out of where they put my food through. For what they call it sunshine call, I would have to turn around to that little window. They put a belt around my waist, handcuff me, shackle my feet, and walk me out to a cinder block patio. And I'd walk around in a circle like a dog for about 30 minutes. And that was my exercise. And so
that does something.
It does. And
you were already training. You were already doing martial arts.
Yep.
You said over there.
Mhm.
So you started in the Marines.
No, actually, I started when I was younger. I was doing martial arts, as opposed to football and anything else. Like, I love that stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I ended up, getting released and everything. They're like, oh, this wasn't the case, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing came out. But you still have that stigma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody goes to your court martial and figures out, oh, yeah, she was lying. Oh, you know what I mean? And the whole deal.
They tend to remember that first story.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So no matter where I went or what I did, you still have people that don't know the truth of the matter. You know what I mean? And so I ended up, one night I tried to kill myself. Honestly, I was in the barracks. I had, just the anger and frustration from the whole situation. Ended up getting into it with my commanding officer. He put me on restriction, so I couldn't leave base again. And so I was supposed to have visitors, but my Marines, they knew the truth of the matter. They knew what was going on. They thought they were helping me by going and buying me liquor, on base.
Oh, wow.
Just trying to look out for for Hancock, and
And meanwhile, it was all simmering in you.
yeah.
It was really just breaking you down inside.
Yeah. And I had some Percocets that one of my Marines gave me, and I was sitting in the barracks one night, and I was just I wrote my little letter on a computer about everything, like how I was treated, all that, and I was like, this is it, I'm done.
You were determined.
Pop the pill, drank it, and this is why I'm the man that I am today. I believe everyone has a defining moment where you're at the lowest point that you can ever get. And in that opportunity, God will reveal himself in a way that will give you the Bible says that God works all things to the ultimate good of those that love him and are called according to his purpose. But everyone doesn't necessarily love God. I believe that we all do bad things, but at the end of the day, everyone has the choice and the option to truly understand who they are and who they are to God and really start to love him. Yeah. And the only reason I'm here today is because I feel as though my foundation, how my parents raised me and how I actually did love God is what saved me.
And his unconditional love for you.
Unconditional love.
Because regardless what we do, his unconditional love, he still loves us.
Yep.
He still loves us.
And like I said, I popped the pills and I was sitting there and I was blacking out. And as clear as you and I are talking, I was literally like blacked out. And something just grabbed me and I sat up straight. And in my mind, I heard, "You will not die." And I passed out. The investigators from the previous situation, they were on a camp called Camp Foster. And it's about as far as, I would say, Willingboro is from Atlantic City. It's about an hour drive. They came to check on me for no reason at all. They had no obligation. They had never done it before. When I spoke to them at the hospital, they said they were sitting at their desk and they just kept thinking about me. They were like, you know what, I want to see what Hancock's going through. You know what I mean? We haven't talked to him. We just want to check on him. And he asked his partner. He said, you know, I think about him too. And they got in their car and they started driving up to Camp Schwab where I was. And if they hadn't left exactly when they left, if they hadn't been thinking about me for whatever reason for that time they were, if they hadn't gotten to the barracks right when they did, got the duty NCO to unlock the door to come just to check on me, they wouldn't have found me on the floor and got me to the hospital in time to save my life.
Wow. So the ones that were handling your case and that put you through all of that
Were the same ones that saved my life.
Amen.
And it wasn't until
All for a purpose.
all for a purpose. And it was that made me think that I have to be here for something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And for me to be the type of person that I detest, for me to
Be accused of that.
for me to engage with what I, because at the end of the day, I still had sex with a married woman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I still did whatever I did. So regardless of what I was accused of, I put myself in that situation. I became the type of person that I don't like. You know what I mean?
Understood.
And so the reason why I do this isn't for accolades. It's not for pats on the back. It's not for appearances. It's because I know that there are women out there whose story is true.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the only way for me to have the greatest impact as far as what I've learned, what I've been through, is that connection, that understanding that women do go through this, that men do go through this, you know what I mean? And that you need an advocate that understands where you're at, right where you're at, that can offer
right
you,
at the place where you're at.
that can offer you the understanding, give you, you know, the healing that maybe you're looking for.
Absolutely.
And even for me, it's therapeutic.
Absolutely.
When I do these types of situations, it takes me back to that place where I was locked in that cell, you know, for all those months, thinking that no one loved me, that, you know, this was the end for me. And
that could be the person that you're dealing with at that moment.
absolutely different type of cell.
Now you're just trying to get them
Out of
their
box.
cell.
Yeah.
Because we walk around and we have gone through so much, we put these protective walls around us.
Yeah.
I know for years I carried a chip on my shoulder from all the molestation and the rape and all those things that I have gone through. I carry, and there's still times where, you know, a man will come up to me and I'll be like, you're in my space.
Those little triggers.
Yes. And it could be anything. It just could be anything. It could be the way they look, the way they smile at me. If they, the smell, if they come and they could just one finger. Oh man, I want to destroy you in a hot jiffy. And it could be anything.
I have and you know, thank God I'm married now. But I have the hardest time trusting women.
Yeah.
You know, it could be the most inane, innocuous, innocent thing. But I want to know what your agenda is, what your motive is. You know what I mean? I don't engage with women the way I used to. You know, I have definitive barriers, which I need as a husband, period. But even in social situations, you know, I don't put myself in situations to even be thought of as, oh, well, he's doing something untoward, you know, because I know for a fact the significance of what that could lead to.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing your story, because you never know who's listening, who's behind those cameras, and who might you be changing. So thank you for sharing. Tell me what you're doing and why.
Company, and our mission is to equip, empower, and educate families to protect themselves. So I do this because of my background, and not only that, it's cute stuff. It's made to be on public. I mean, a color to fitted outfit. We have products for even men as well. So my job and my mission is to get you home safe every night to your loved ones.
And it's a great partnership that you're doing.
Yes.
Because he's doing the mentally training, the physical training, and you're like, I'm just going to add just a dash here of adobo and sazon.
Yes.
So this is the adobo and sazon in my life.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Why not layers of protection from mental to physical
Absolutely.
to material things?
Especially for females, especially for teenage females.
Yes.
And are these, is it for an age limit? Like, can little children,
So we have a product for every age
okay.
group, mainly for the younger children for the most part, because ideally, well, first things first is what my daughter was getting bullied at one time. So as much as I felt like what I needed when I came across this company, I was already out of that area of my relationship. But really, truly, more what inspired is the fact that my daughter was getting bullied and being followed home from school and everything. And when a police officer told me that she can carry a certain ounce of pepper spray, I was already thinking about it, and just so happened I ran into these products at the same time, and I'm like, okay, this is what you're going to carry. So I say that to say there's just certain products that you can carry to school. Pepper spray, honestly, I did that because walking home from school. I'm almost certain, any parent out there, you're not going to be able to carry a pepper spray to school. So we have alarms, we have whistles, alarms or noisemakers. So it's
So they can
designed.
carry with their keys.
Mhm. Yes, it's designed to cause attention. So in addition to your voice, you have the alarm.
Mhm.
So that's good for children and young adults and teenagers. Also, keep in mind the maturity level of children. Even if you're out and about, you go out with your friends, you decide to carry a pepper spray, you have to make sure your child is responsible, understand how to use it, and to what extreme, because people will try to attempt it, because having it is one thing and knowing how it works, and the curiosity killed the cat.
Ooh.
It's just safety.
These aren't things that you can play with. These aren't toys. These are tools that you can put in your purse. I've seen Michelle even carry them.
Yes.
You put them in your purse. You put them in your pocket. I hate carrying purses. I'm not a girly girl. This is just all TV. Yeah, no. After this, they saw me coming in. That's all I'm saying. So these things, you can put it in your pockets, and you can go and you can carry them, and they're all legal.
Yes,
They're all legal. So don't go, oh, what are they putting on TV? Calm down. It's all legal. And so, what are these?
So we have some of our products are, like I said, pepper spray and stun devices. We have a few different kind of stun guns. So but the benefits of our stun guns is they have a disabling pin. So for safety measure, if it's taken from you, it can't be used back on you.
Oh,
So-
okay.
You're carrying it, you're in a tussle with this disconnect, that you don't have to worry about this affecting you.
Okay.
We teach these to be a deterrent. So all of our stun guns have flashlights. So the flashlight is the first indicator that you have something. You feel uncomfortable, you feel like you're being followed, the flashlight, you just turn it on the ground, in the air. You still feel uneased, you're going to stun. You're going to make this, stun the sound in the air. Like, okay, this is my second warning, I'm letting you know I have something.
Okay.
The third, you come near me, touch me if you're there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we want to make sure we give these warnings, because touch me if you dare.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know. By all means necessary. Our products are not designed to take somebody's life, but again, you have to be careful. With how far you go. With the stun gun, you stun and run.
Mm-hmm.
Pepper spray, you spray and go.
Mm-hmm.
With our pepper spray, we have a UV dye for identifying purposes. Yes, if that dye, it stays on them up to 7 days, and under a black light, they're identified, then, they're caught.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Especially for rape victims.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so hard once they go through that traumatic experience, and then not to catch who did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's even more aggravating.
Yes.
because now you're like, okay, now I'm victimized twice.
Yes.
Because now you can't catch who did it to me.
Yes.
And I don't really know how to describe this
Yes.
person,
Yes.
except he smells.
Yes. And even to take it up a notch, one of our pepper sprays is connected to a technology. We have an emergency app. It's called Shield Community. And on that app, the pepper spray is connected to it. So if you have to use it, the pepper spray is connected to the app. So it'll let you know that your pepper spray was activated.
No
So
way.
you have
wow.
up to 5 emergency contacts in that app. Selena's pepper spray activated and it's connected to a GPS. So God forbid, you're kidnapped. They won't even know what's going on. And your family will be notified there's an alarm that they are constantly getting, and the only way for that alarm to stop is for you to disable it, and it'll say safe. I'm safe.
That's perfect.
Yes.
Human trafficking.
Yes.
Missing children.
Yes.
And I work with both. So that is fabulous.
Yes.
That's why I was like, I gotta get her. I don't know how, but I'm gonna have to get her stuff. So this is perfect.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
perfect. And what are the other?
So we have a few alarms. Go on your keychains, or for school-age children, connect right to your book bag or
So
your
that's
belt.
even greater for a smaller child.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because you can put it on their book bags and they can make the noise.
Yes. And the good thing is, as we teach them, I don't know what age, but the younger children like to go to the bathroom by themselves.
Yes.
And okay, I'm gonna stand out here and wait for you. You come up with a plan. Okay, you go to the bathroom. If you feel uncomfortable, you sound the alarm. Your mommy's to the rescue.
Yeah, I have 4 children. They're grown now, and one of them works with me. But when they went to the bathroom, I would give them the whole spiel.
Mm-hmm.
This, and this, and you don't go here, and you don't touch nobody, and you don't talk to nobody, and if they come near you, you go the other way. I gave them the whole thing.
Yes.
And they're like, Mom, yes. I heard it. Yes, Mom. Are you giving me sass? No, Mom. So yeah, I know about the whole standing
Yes.
outside and waiting for your child. But that is perfect because if something were to happen
Mm-hmm.
and they sound that alarm, listen,
Mommy to the rescue.
lion to the rescue.
Oh, I like it.
Okay. Because lion cub is crying.
Yes.
So these are perfect.
Yes, and we also have a striking tool. So we have a few different versions. So a few of our products you have to make sure it is allowed, such as concerts or amusement parks, airports. This is also a striking tool, but it's a pen and a DNA catcher, and this can go through metal detectors and on your carry-on when traveling.
Oh.
Yes.
And you can put it in your suitcases.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Yep.
interesting.
So that's the difference.
We shall be right back with more Selena and Marcello. Welcome back to the world around us. We had a fabulous, fabulous episode today with some amazing, powerful, influential people. I thank both of you for being here.
Thank you.
I want you to give me your contact information so that our audience members know, hey, let me call Selena, let me call Marcello, because I need some training and I need some tools. So, Selena.
Definitely. My demonstrations are an hour, and Marcello and I, you can reach us and we can come together or separately, whatever you prefer. Selena, SELENA.Nash, NASH 82 @gmail.com. My phone number is 609-336-1755, and you can find me on Facebook at Selena.Nash.
Give me your number again.
609-336-1755.
And my information is Marcello Hancock. That's MarChelloHancock @gmail.com. It's also Marcello Hancock on Instagram and Facebook. Not hard to find at all. My contact information, you can reach me at 856-434-2931. Typically, I'll answer my phone like in the evening, but I work early morning, say afternoon. But weekends, I'm typically free. If you want to do demonstrations, I can come to you. I also have a area reserved at my house where I can do small classes, groups of between 10 and 15 individuals. So if you want to do larger groups, let me know. We can discuss details. And thank you for listening to me.
Give me the number again.
856-434-2931.
Thank you for tuning in, and you come back to the world around us. Love you.